Today I want to show you the magic of Meridian 59, a game that has been mostly forgotten and misunderstood throughout the years. But before we begin this journey I must tell you, how did I got engaged with this trash-ass super grindy, repetitive mostly boring-ass game? Well, I looked a video online, and even though I had looked at Chad play it before, I could see they both had similar but different experiences with it. And I wanted to try it for myself. So I downloaded the game and started playing.
Nope.
So first you create a character, which is super easy if you just click here. Select some spells and abilities which are not explained at all to you, and like my man said, they just use words and assume you know what they mean. And then you start playing. Luckily for me, after this ancient creature uploaded his video, I did have somewhat of a goal, to get my HP as high as possible. So I started grinding. After some grinding I got to level 30 horsepower and was completely lost on what to do, and it was then when I met Henry, the main character of my story in Meridian 59. He himself had already wasted his life in this game when I met him, so he knew everything I could possibly ask about the game. He invited me to a guild, buffed my ass up with some spells, and told me where to go grind next, so I did. I grinded, and grinded, and grinded, and I grinded some more. When I was done grinding, I was sent yet again to grind, only this time the skeletons I was killing were a bit different, and the room I was killing them in had this super high level godly ghost that took down 1/3 of my HP with each of his attacks guarding it. So before I could even keep grinding I had to now ask someone for help so I could keep grinding, and I had to do this every 10 to 60 minutes, because you know, why not make the respawn timer random? Sigh. Anyways, while I was doing all this grind I learned a lot about Meridian 59. There are banks, item storage buildings, vendors, trainers, quest givers, and a lot of random ass NPCs. I have no goddamn clue to this day what is their purpose. For example, there is a bank in Jasper, which is here, and also Windows, which is here, but there is also Cornoth and Barlaqua, which are the main cities the game evolves around. There is also Meridian, but that place sucks ass and I have found nothing really useful there. So at the time I had finished grinding my way up to 75 horsepower, I was already able to move myself around these 3 cities without a map. I also later was able to add this one to my mental map. And when I was around 75 horsepower and had already started killing trolls was when I got my first glance of what Meridian 59 is all about. It is to this day, the best gameplay I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing and the most twisted degenerate player base I've seen. Because this game's content in reality is drama. So let me explain. Remember I told you about Henry earlier? Well, he was all cool and super nice with me, but it appears he used to play League of Legends or something BC. Apparently he was walking around shit-talking people and telling them he was going to kill them. Apparently people didn't like this and started to gather together so they could eventually kill Henry, and you see, dying in Meridian 59 is a bad thing to happen. You will lose hours and hours of grinding every time you die after you get past 30 horsepower, so you don't want to die. At the time I thought this was not a big problem, but I was wrong. At some point while this was happening, I asked Henry if he could help me get a Herald Shield, which is a super cool shield that lets you grind spells a little bit better. That is after you do some super ass quest to attach something called an insignia to it. But getting the shield required another quest of itself, and I needed Henry to help me with this quest because it is a quest that requires your guild leader to talk to a faction leader, I think, and then to a blacksmith, I think, so then I can go to another blacksmith and ask for the quest to get the Herald Shield. So, after talk to the blacksmith that gave me the quest, a guy named Joseph JJ started attacking Henry and we had to run inside the blacksmith again like pussies. Apparently Joseph JJ had some beef with Henry from before the trash talking Henry did, but that was the drop that spilled the glass. Henry got camped inside that blacksmith for what I believe was a good amount of time, and since Joseph JJ didn't know who I was, he just let me go while keeping Henry hostage. I did try telling Henry the first could grab him some gear so he could fight back, but he told me not to get involved because this was between them, which I respected. It would also turn out to be the best thing I could have done. I logged for the day, and when I logged the next day, I started to ask if anyone knew if Henry had died. This was a huge mistake. Some people started believing I was Henry, because apparently some people have like 50 characters in this game, and use many to move stuff around and make some things easier for them and whatnot. Also some just use many tunes to kill others, but the point is I was now being accused of being Henry, which was really bad, because a lot of people hated Henry. And in Meridian 59 there is open world PvP, which means anyone can kill you almost everywhere in the world, besides a few safe areas, so you don't really want almost all the people in the server killing you. Now at this point I was starting to get freaked out. BCPPL had already tried attacking me a couple times, and to my bad luck this was also around the time I did another quest. One which gave me a super cool unbreakable shield that was to my surprise, also a big faction PvP target in the open world. So now I was being accused of being Henry, and I also had this shield which makes anyone wielding it a big PvP target. Also by the way, fun story, once you equip it, you can't unequip the shield unless you betray your own faction. Hilarious, I know. So then I had to spend a nice amount of time being interrogated by many people Henry had shit-talked before, trying to convince them I was not Henry. Which I believe some believed and some others did not, and to this day still believe I am Henry. After this we had a guild meeting with another of our guildies who said he was an unloyal pussy and he didn't want to get in trouble because one of his other guilds could think bad of him and he wouldn't be able to join back if he wanted. Henry asked us only to defend the guild hall and to send him a WhatsApp if we saw it was under attack or we needed help. Wait a minute, did you see that? Yeah, this man actually gave us his phone number so we could contact him in case our guild hall in a 30-year-old game could be defended in case of an attack. I love this shit. Also the guild hall works like one of those safe areas I mentioned earlier for anyone in the guild and has a secret storage room, which you need to type a password in chat to get access to, and it feels something like this.
Open sesame! Well shit!
It's awesome. So I was okay with trying to defend it if it came to that. It was also the place Henry had been storing all the loot he was giving me to level faster and easier, so yeah, I wanted to keep it safe. After that my unloyal pussy-ass guildmate was actually pretty cool and took me to a tour with his alt character in this abandoned hidden castle called Brax, where I got to see some more skeletons and some big snakes. There's also a place there where you can offer stuff to gods or factions, or something. I still don't know what it does exactly, but it's pretty cool, and you also need a key to get to this place, which I happened to get by luck because one of the admins of the game logged at some point and gave me a couple keys. I also witnessed Joseph JJ dueling with Deadeye in the streets of Barlaqua, which I assume Joseph won because Deadeye ran, and apparently this guy is the best and most feared pupper in the game, so if he couldn't kill Deadeye, did Henry stood a chance? I left this questions for later and went my own way. I started leveling some of my spells at this point, and while I was rewatching the video that got me into the game I realized something. Axel, the same guy that helped the ancient video maker, was also the same guy that was mainly accusing me of being Henry. I can't believe it. I wanted to believe he was a reasonable man, but he seemed a bit nuts to me, not gonna lie. Anyways, after finding this out, Axel proceeded to die and claim he had not. For some reason he thought he had to reassure his veteran gamer position, but this just made him look a bit silly. Can't blame me, this one is on you, man. After this I was being helped by Lady Vash, which is a super cool girl. This is a 30-year-old MMO, I'ma just assume he has a penis, so Vash is a super cool guy that helped me before in my grind killing skeletons a lot and had also taught me a lot about the game and showed me some areas, and now he was helping me get a chalice, which is a magical item that will teleport me to my guild hall. Or this cave. Or this place depending on which area I'm at when I click it. But all you gotta know, it's that it's super good, and it saves a lot of time. Also if you use it more than 2 times and don't refill it by dropping it on grass, it breaks and you have to get another one. He also showed me around this area called the island, which someone had already showed me in the past but I had no idea what it was at the time, so having Vash explaining it to me was pretty helpful, since this is the area in which I with my pro level 90 horsepower have to train it for now. At this point I have gotten so engaged that even when I missed a day of collage because my car battery died and I was taking the class online, I was playing Meridian 59, so I leveled some spells while trying to learn some music stuff. He'll blur the faces so the internet can't harass this poor souls, but this was what I was looking at for about 4 hours, and when I was waiting to see if singing professor was going to be a lazy ass and show up to class or not, I decided to go do another quest which would show me how to use yet another type of sword, only though this one was cool, and it was my first experience with a boss in this game, which is pretty cool, and yeah, this game has bosses, and a few of them actually. I wish I could tell you all about them, but I've only seen the Yeti so far. I do know there is a spider boss and an orc boss, but that's all I know. There could be more of them. And this is where I find myself at right now. The footage you are seeing I only started recording after I was about 3 weeks into the game, but most of what you missed was me grinding skeletons in Cast Victoria for many hours, maybe some stuff where people showed me around, or another time they took me to get mana nodes so I could get more mana points. The beginning of my journey was quite slow, weirdly enjoyable and filled with this sense of mysticism and exploration while also being helped by a small community of very knowledgeable players which added the sense of a living world, a community. This made me want to keep getting more HP and get into more areas, fight others monsters and get different loot. I developed the feel of needing to know more, and I think this is what Meridian 59 is all about, a community game, with lots of secrets, quests and abilities you can explore. I gotta be clear, I'm not even close to being done with this game, and only the future will tell what we can expect of this story in the future. But for now I can only say, I'm not Henry, goddamn it.